The Nintendo Switch 2 has been officially out for 1 week now, and I got a hold of one at launch. Here are my thoughts on the next generation of Nintendo. How's it going, Gon here?
Yes, after almost an entire decade of being stuck with the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo finally released the Nintendo Switch 2, the literal successor to the Nintendo Switch, cause look at these two. They're obviously related. I think this is the first time a successor to a Nintendo console looks similarly to its predecessor, controller and all. Look, when the system was announced in January, I was genuinely baffled by the name. Switch 2 is the most generic name you could have pulled off. I was expecting something more Nintendo, you know? They always innovate in this field, and a name like Super Nintendo Switch or something like that would have been more interesting. But I understand now, Nintendo definitely doesn't want another Wii U situation on their hands, and I respect it. And the name kinda grew on me. Besides that, the system is exactly what I wanted and way more. A bigger screen, 4K resolution, magnetic Joy-Cons, a fan in the dock. I was probably more hyped for that than anything else. After that Switch 2 Direct and the terrible game pricing, I did exactly what any logical being would do. I pre-ordered it. In person actually, their website wouldn't let me pre-order it, so I had to.
At launch I went to the store, I pre-ordered it, and I shit you not, it was empty. Yeah, a large ass store, one of the biggest in the country, but no one, except me, went to pick up the Switch 2 at that time on launch day. There were even some units on stock, like 10 Switch 2s. I guess that's one of the perks of being a Nintendo fan in Portugal, though I've heard some stores went out of stock and some even sold Switch 2s with open boxes. Don't pre-order anything from Vorten.
I got the Nintendo Switch bundled with Mario Kart World, and I also picked up a copy of Street Fighter 6. I am not a fan of buying digital games, I much prefer getting it physical, but the bundle is so cheap compared to buying it separately that I just couldn't pass it up. It's a shame, cause this is the only Nintendo console I own that I don't have a physical copy of Mario Kart. But I'm sorry, 90 euros is not worth it for Mario Kart. No game in existence is worth that price. Okay, maybe I can make an exception.
I've seen some people online comparing the boxes of the Switch OLED and the Switch 2 and saying that they're hard to distinguish and may confuse parents. Are there many illiterate people out there? Doesn't the big ass 2 in the box help to distinguish one from the other?
The Switch 2 looks like your regular Nintendo Switch, but notoriously bigger. The screen is even bigger than the OLED Switch, though it's an LCD screen. The Joy-Cons are an interesting upgrade. They're bigger and rounder compared to the Switch ones, which is amazing and makes them more comfortable. Though I think they still can do better. The SplitPad Pro by Hori were amazing on the Switch 1, and the moment I got them, I never touched Nintendo's Joy-Cons. At all. I hope Hori makes ones for the Nintendo Switch too. The Joy-Con has an odd color scheme, with the iconic orange and blue being only present on the sticks and the shoulder pads. And why Nintendo? Why is this the only color scheme available at launch? It wouldn't hurt make another set of colors for the Joy-Cons, or heck, bring back the fun translucent style from the N64. Microsoft brought that back somewhat recently. Now, it's your turn. Though that probably won't happen. The main gimmick this generation is mouse controls. I never saw any necessity of using that in the games I've played, so let's just skip that part. Another new addition to the Switch 2 is Game Chat, basically Nintendo's version of Discord. And I'm gonna be honest, I used that a few times actually. It isn't that bad of a feature, though I think it was a little too late to introduce that. If they made this feature in the Wii U days, it would have been the talk of the town. Today, it's something we really didn't need.
That's all fine and dandy, but what about the games? It's a gaming console, right? It has games, right? This is not a PS5, so be assured people, this console has games and there are a lot more to come. Let's talk about some of them.
Mario Kart World is the main title that came with the system at launch, and I was surprised that we got a new Mario Kart at the console's launch. I think that never happened before. I thought something like a new 3D Mario or even the upcoming Donkey Kong Bonanza would have been the launch title. But after seeing what World introduces to the franchise, it works the same as a platformer or an adventure game. Mario Kart World introduces an open world mode where there are virtually no limits. You have the whole tracks in a connected world at your disposal, and there's challenges around it to complete. As someone who likes just wandering around in video games, free roam is an amazing addition. However, I don't see that many people playing it, and I think the world outside the main tracks is kinda lackluster, though I love the little references to the original SNES courses. Nintendo advertised free roam in the trailers as a fun thing you can play with your friends, But if you're playing with people, Grand Prix and Knockout Tour are your choices. If you're going solo, then free roam is an option. And can we talk about the new arrangements? This is an $80 music album with the game as an extra. I've already put more than 30 hours into this game, can't get enough of it.
I'm avoiding saying everything about this game because eventually I know I'll make a Mario Kart World review and I don't want to throw every piece of information this time. So why not move on to another game?
Street Fighter 6 is the game I've fallen in love ever since I first played it on the PS5, but finally getting a chance of playing it in the palm of my hands is absolutely blissful. That game looked gorgeous on the PS5, and here on the Switch looks almost as good. It looks slightly downgraded, but who cares? It's a pretty good port of the game for the Switch too. One thing that I wasn't a fan of was the whole game key cards thing. So you're telling me this is just a license to download the game digitally, but works just like a physical game? I'm not sure about this, and currently, this is the biggest game I have installed on the Switch too because of that. We all know Capcom and all the other developers got lazy and refused to make the full game physically, cause how can Cyberpunk 2077 fit on the card, but Sonic X Shadow Generations can't? This is probably gonna be a regular issue during the Switch 2's life, and we gotta deal with it. Moving over to Nintendo Switch Online, GameCube games have been available exclusively to Switch 2 users. The library currently consists of F-Zero GX, The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker, and Soul Calibur 2. Not a bad selection in my opinion, though the absence of Mario Sunshine, Mario Kart Double Dash, and even Melee is pretty odd.
Final first thoughts on the Switch 2 after a whole week. I like this system. Should you buy it now? Maybe. If you're a Switch player only, definitely get the Switch 2. So many great games that Nintendo missed out on the Switch era are here at launch. Cyberpunk, Street Fighter 6, Yakuza 0. There's a lot of new experiences for Switch players. But if you only care about the exclusive titles, I'd recommend to wait a bit, cause Mario Kart World is honestly not a justifiable title to purchase a whole new system. But yeah, so far, I love the Switch 2. I'm really looking forward to the new generation. Donkey Kong Bonanza is coming in July and everyone will be playing that. Metroid Prime 4 finally is coming later this year. Pokemon ZA finally after a decade waiting, we got Pokemon Z. Kinda, it's not exactly what I was expecting 10 years ago, but I'll take it. And then we have the long-awaited Tomodachi Life Living the Dream. Tomodachi Life on the 3DS is a game I put a lot of hours into, and that includes the welcome demo that came with every 2DS XL. But what I really want to say is that those last few years of speculation finally paid off. The Switch 2 is exactly what everyone wanted and way more. And the current slate we have is promising and I'm looking forward to new announcements during this year. But none of this wouldn't have happened without the Nintendo Switch. I've been using this specific Switch daily since 2017, it has been my travel buddy for 8 years, and I spent my twin and teen years playing the classics. Mario Kart 8, Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, Smash Ultimate, Metroid Dread, Xenoblade Chronicles, Fortnite. I played a lot of Fortnite on the Switch since the game's launch, and nope, it wasn't pretty. The Switch was a powerhouse, and from all the game consoles I'm aware of, this one quite possibly had the most legendary run. And I'm not joking. But, you know, all good things must come to an end. And even though it had terrible performance in most games and wasn't the most powerful console out there, I grew fond of this console and sadly, it's time to retire it. I usually don't make stuff like this, but I thought it was something special to talk about. But yeah, I'll spend the rest of my days playing Mario Kart World until the release of the Switch 3, when that eventually comes out. You gotta be f***ing kidding me.